Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Raise your hand, please, if you've got a reasonably good idea of your income and expenditure for this month. Just raise your hand. And keep it in the air. Raise your other hand if you've got a reasonably good idea of your HDL and CDL cholesterol levels or your systolic and diastolic blood pressure reading. Raise the other hand. Thank you. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I could stop now. I've made my point. That when it comes to knowing what you've got in your bank accounts, you're pretty good at that. But when it comes to knowing the very thing that will keep you alive so that you can enjoy what you've got in your bank account, you fall short of the mark. Now, to illustrate why this is important, why you need to know those numbers, this pair of shorts belonged to someone who did not know their numbers. Year on year, this person disregarded what to most people in the room is an obvious critical health crisis. Wouldn't you agree? The person who wore these shorts could barely walk 100 yards unaided. Couldn't get up and down the stairs. Found it very difficult, even just to put on a car seatbelt. Couldn't do basic tasks, like bending over to tie a shoelace. They described their life as suicide by installments. It was just one thing after another, after another. Now, you could be forgiven for thinking that this could never happen to you, and it probably wouldn't happen to me either. But I wonder how many people in the room this evening are the heaviest or the unhealthiest that you have been in years. I wonder how many people would admit to that. Because according to the latest figures that the NHS published just last week, 64% of the UK population right now are classed as overweight or obese. 64%. They also estimate that in the next 10 years, that figure is set to rise to 75%. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's okay, but I'm not a statistic, and I will somehow escape that. Then consider this. For the first time ever in history, the next generation will not outlive their parents. Your children, your grandchildren, will not live longer than you. And that is a fact. But I do have some good news for you. And the good news is that the person who wore these shorts now enjoys a far healthier lifestyle. And I should know because these shorts were mine. And I was that person. But actually, you know, I consider myself to be quite fortunate, because even though back then, when I weighed just short of 30 stones and my blood pressure was soaring, I still think I was fortunate. Because I didn't have enough ill health to warrant any medical treatment. The loose skin that was around my throat and that was impacting on my chest wasn't enough to cause me to require treatment for the condition known as sleep apnea. You've probably heard of that. Oh, I could snore for England, all right. I can wake the dead. But actually, it wasn't the snoring that was the problem. It was the silence. Because in the silence, I'd stop breathing. And I would need to be woken 2 or 3 times during the course of the night. Oh, but that's not enough to change. Even when I looked down at my bare feet and saw that there were various shades of grey and black, and that was due to the build-up of those skin cells, that wasn't enough to change. Or when I looked down and saw that my lower limbs were blue, pink and purple through poor circulation, the blood just wouldn't pump up and down, that still wasn't enough to change. And my frame was so large that I could barely squeeze it into a shower cubicle. So when the water cascaded onto my head, it didn't reach the parts of my body that needed to be cleansed. And as a result of that, my skin became quite sore and cracked, and it began to smell. And yes, you're right, I couldn't even wipe my own backside. But it wasn't enough to want to change. What I'm inviting you to do this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is not to leave this room wanting to eat lettuce and do star jumps. That's not what I'm about. It's this. It's a very simple message. Is your life and the way that you're living it right now, in line with who you really want to be? There's an old ancient truth that says, no one became successful by doing the thing that he or she did not enjoy. Do you get that? No one became successful by doing the thing that he or she did not enjoy. And I'm just curious tonight, how many people in the room are doing the thing that you don't enjoy in your life, in your business, with your family, or with yourself? Is tonight the night that you could do something about it? Because it was only when I started to become really self-aware of what was going on for me and line myself up with those principles and get mojo, now I can do the thing that I love to do. And now I'm doing the work that I love to do. So my challenge for you is tonight, could you take a few small baby steps? Get a little bit of mojo in your life, a little bit of change. Is there something that you could do this evening?